Welcome to Tales and Travel Adventures. Let's visit Sidney, Illinois. Hello. Champaign Public Library and the Urbana Free Library have prepared this journey back in time for us. I am LaVonna Hawkins, and today we will visit Sidney, Illinois. There are two ways you can use this program. You can just listen and follow along as I read the narrative that accompanies each slide. Or you or your partner can turn down the volume and use the controls to pause each screen so that you can read the narrative aloud yourself. You might also want to talk with your partner about what you are seeing or any memories that come to mind. Today, we will visit Sidney, Illinois, a village in central Illinois. The village of Sidney has a population of around 1,100 people, with a little over 400 households. It covers less than 1 square mile. An interesting thing happened in Sidney in 1946. When Everett and Sarah Block, a young married couple, moved into their new house, they found around 200 glass negatives from the early 1900s in the attic. They were intrigued, but also busy with their growing family. They kept the negatives safely stored away for several years. This is one of the negatives they found. It was many years until they could investigate further and learn about its history. In 1960, 14 years after the negatives were found, Everett was able to find someone who could develop the pictures and begin identifying the locations and people shown. This image is of the house the glass negatives were found in and features the previous owner, Archie Thompson, and his daughter. As we look at the picture, let's imagine what their day was like. How do you imagine the weather felt? What do you imagine they may be thinking about? Perhaps something is happening inside the house. As Everett examined the negatives, he found that 2 had a signature, J.J. Fisher, etched in the glass. When the pictures were developed, he realized the man in this photo is holding a camera of the type used to create glass negatives. Everett believed that this is J.J. Fisher, the photographer who created the 200 glass negatives found in the attic. J.J. Fisher lived in the farmhouse with Archie Thompson and his family between 1901 and 1904. It is not known why he took the pictures, where he lived before he lived with the Thompsons, or where he went afterward. We don't even know for sure this is J.J. Fisher, or if he took these pictures, but it is likely. Everett Block displayed prints made from the glass plate negatives at the 1966 Spring Festival in Sidney. Festival goers had the opportunity to help identify locations and people in the photographs. They could also order prints if there was a photograph they were interested in. Everett kept careful notes as people told him about the pictures. He kept track of names, locations, and any information that could be determined. Photography was a novel idea in the early 1900s. Photographs were a chance for families to display prized and cherished people, animals, and objects. This family photo includes the dog, a bicycle, and what appears to be a wooden hammock. The chickens even got into the picture. Everett's notes state that this is a picture of the Old Homer Band and gives a location of Rainsville, Indiana. Several towns had a band that performed in parades, at concerts in the park, and for social functions in the town. One has to marvel at how still the dog and cat sat for this photo. In the early 1900s, taking a photo was always a planned event, and nearly everything included was there as a conscious choice. Why do you imagine the pillow with hearts and a star was included? Members of the Block family appear in several of the photos, including this one with farm equipment and the animals. What stories can you imagine for each of the people in this picture? Threshing wheat required the services of several men, horses, and mules in 1900. Generally, a crew of men and someone who owned a steam engine would travel from farm to farm and thresh the wheat or shell the corn. No information was ever found for this photo. Who do you think these people are? Is it a family or a group of friends? Why did they gather for this photo? What did they do after the photo was taken? The photographer took 2 photos for the United Brethren Church in Broadlands, Illinois. This one shows the congregation with the church. A second photo shows the congregation all dressed up in their best clothes. This photo shows the Town Hall of Sidney, built in 1907, before the street was paved with brick. The stairs at the side of the building were necessary because the area was so prone to flooding. It is exceptional for a small village that the history is so well preserved thanks to a photographer whose glass negatives sat in an attic for many years. When we visit Sidney now, let's remember those people from long ago pictured in the glass negatives. What do you imagine they would say to the residents of Sidney today? Thank you so much for this visit to Sidney, Illinois, and the story of the glass negatives. I always enjoy our time together visiting different places. Here is something to think about. What would you like to say to your town? Questions? For materials to go along with this video, please contact Champaign Public Library at 217-403-2070 or Champaign County Historical Archives, the Urbana Free Library at 217-367-4025. For information about using questions to have a meaningful conversation, visit timeslips.org.